Good afternoon, everybody. It's time for the first backpacking trip of the season for us, and we chose something kind of special. So a few years back, we'd already had the PCT in our future, but we're just going on a drive. We were frankly having a bad day, just not a good day. And we're just driving east with nowhere really in mind. We accidentally came across the PCT. We literally were like, the PCT's right there. We didn't realize we were like a couple minutes from it. And without any kind of prep, without food on us, without anything, we ended up just being like, we can't not set feet on the PCT. And ended up going several miles in, running into a thru hiker who was going through, and talking to her for the day, and going and hosting her for the night and bringing her back up to, it's actually Mount Adams the next day. But that kind of was really a pivotal day for us. That was during a hard stretch and a really hard day. And it was just the first time we'd actually seen the PCT, at least while being aware of it, that we were seeing the PCT. And so, while it's not our first backpacking trip, and it's not the first time we crossed the bridge, we're actually at Cascade Locks and the Bridge of the Gods. So that very last moment of Oregon, and for all of you that are looking to do the PCT, this will be an exciting moment. You'll be entering your last state, which means this lovely bathroom here is fantastic because, well, you can sleep here. It's a PCT shelter, essentially, as far as they go. But it's also your last stop in Oregon. Great place for people to come visit you if you're local. There's a decent grocery store here. There's some good restaurants, inns if you really want a bed. If you go across Bridge of the Gods and just go a few miles east, there's Stevenson, which has a really nice grocery store. It's kind of become a tourist spot with all these nice coffee shops and restaurants. But the grocery store it might as well be a Whole Foods, from desserts to organic veggies, etc. It's really nice. But as it is, this weekend we're just going to go, we're not just going to go into Gillette Lake where we turned around last time, but we're going to head, not that far in, just somewhere between 6 and 7 miles depending. But that's the plan for the weekend, and it's just poetic and special for us, so we're excited. And as it is, it may rain throughout, but not too crazy. We're actually avoiding a wind and rainstorm of sorts back home, so this is actually the less weather nuts section to be doing today. So I'll post up the miles specifically we're doing, because I can't remember. It's like 2146.8 to like 2153 or something, for those who really care that are doing the PCT. Otherwise, we'll show you the walk across the bridge in just a second. I don't know if you can see it through the trees much, but you'll see it more in a second, and we'll just kind of show you what you are, well, a little bit of what you're going to see when you walk into Oregon, rather walk from Oregon to Washington. So, welcome to Washington. So we've gone all like 40 feet, but that's the PCT right there. It just happens to be closed still from the Eagle Creek fire. And there off yonder, it's my wife walking up the PCT sign. It's kind of an interesting bridge as it's really narrow and it's a steel grid on the bottom, so you just get to look straight down, which is pretty cool. Quite the thing at night as well. Really kind of eerie in a cool way. But either way, should you be hiking the PCT, these are your last moments in Oregon. This is something big for those who are doing it. Every year as the pack comes through, the pack being, or the bubble depending, it's the big group of people that are walking through kind of the most dense portion of thru hikers. And as they come through Cascade Locks, we come up to do trail magic, which is just basically do anything nice you can for a hiker. And so we'll be coming up doing rehab work and stuff like that as they come through. So if you guys are in class of 2018, you're probably not watching this, but we'll see you anyway. So time to go slow down some cars, at least in a moment. Okay, so that didn't quite work as expected. There's some high winds over on the southern side, so I'm not too surprised. But we just got up to the edge of the bridge, and I don't know if I'll put the video in or not, but to say the least, it kind of cut out. The wind actually blew off my pack cover, and we had to chase it down. So we're on the Washington side. We're just gonna toss some trash, use the bathroom, and get started. So there's that view of the bridge that goes from Washington. It's a pretty awesome bridge. You get some pretty cool views down the gorge. That little thing down there is Wind Mountain, and behind it is Dog, which if you're local, you know, if you're watching these, you probably know what those are. You get some pretty damn good views in the bridge. But that aside, we're gonna get moving. So I'll show you the beginning of the trail itself, then just on and off. So see you shortly. So, starting momentarily. Probably going to keep this brief, just we are on a highway. There's the PCT itself. There's the wife. And so right past that green sign down there, if you can see it, is the road to the Bridge of the Gods. So really you cross the bridge and 300 feet and you're here. There's Oregon, and cars are coming, so off we go. Welcome to spring. Frog togs are definitely staying on today. Not too bad. It's actually kind of nice because I hike very hot, but well, few people are from dry climates. I don't know, every time it seems to sprinkle. Get out there, get used to being wet. As long as it's safe, hike without rain clothes, just get used to being wet. So much of through hiking is just learning to give up comfort. Something I've been wanting to talk about in another video is, I mentioned here and there about how much of, again, I'm not a through hiker, but it's just you hear everyone who's done it, and it doesn't exactly take a big leap of logic to get there, that it's all the mental game. And we really, especially in the West, we come from such a pampered place where, if they're out of your favorite latte, you're so upset. And if your pillow is like slightly rumpled, you're screwed for the night. And it's not just this superficial stuff. It's that we spend our whole lives being very, honestly pampered. And just a little bit of having that comfort disturbed actually ruins our mood. And if you're gonna through hike, there's gonna be nothing comfortable except for going to a crappy Motel 6 and having a mattress for a night, which to us now would be like, oh, it's horrible. And so much of preparing for the PCT is, and any through hike, anything like that, and honestly just for life, is allowing yourself to be uncomfortable and realize it does not matter. A few minutes, the next day, whatever, it won't matter. So why let it mess with you in the moment? And well, that's certainly easy to say. It takes a little bit of practice. And just the more hiking we do, and the more I just mentally get myself kind of wrapped into the notion that my least comfortable moment in a day-to-day city life is going to be a lot more comfortable than anything on trail. And that's fine. Some of my own mental prep is going to be some Taoist, Buddhist, and Stoic works. And a lot of the most profound stuff is really simple. And it's something that can really, frankly, there's some cool stuff if you can see. I want to stop for a picture of that in a second. But it's something that can empower your life now. Go look up cold shower therapy. Give it a week. Anything that you've been sitting there not managing to do will change your life, let alone really increase your chances of getting through the PCT. So I'm going to take a picture and we'll keep going. Just ducking in and out of the woods. That mountain I was pointing out was Table Mountain. We just got around a corner with a good enough viewpoint to see Hamilton and Beacon Rock. So there is, we haven't been at the Table Mountain yet. We're going to do that, I don't know, the next 2 or 3 months. But, I mean, I know for those of you who aren't local have no real idea what those are, but just some of the favorite mountains in the Washington side of the gorge. As we duck through, just wanted to show this increasingly lush forest. And since my wife's talking about it, we have seen 2 groups of a couple hikers so far, and it's kind of funny. The second one we just passed by, we just come around the corner and they're like, hikers! And wet people, which was funny. But just had a short conversation about, love these boulders by the way, I am a little bit squirrel, so, you know, get used to that. But just had a short conversation with him, asking if we were doing the whole trail. Just saying we're just on a short overnight. But next year we're going, and she was just talking about how jealous she was of us getting out there. And it's just those funny little exchanges where you go, we are doing this. It's not just, oh yeah, we're getting in shape and all that. It's gonna happen soon. A lot sooner than, you know, it's scarce-sighted. It's just kind of crazy to realize it's really coming together. It's physically, oh, we're getting in such better shape. I'm down like 35 pounds. The wife is losing weight and getting trimmer, getting stronger. But really the financial side's coming together as well, which is really the hardest side for us. Since I've mentioned in other videos, we have several animals, so we don't just have a family member that can take them in. And over the last 3-4 years, most of our friends have gone either mobile, literally, like I have a couple of friends traveling the country in an RV. We have another couple of friends that actually did the PCT in 14 that are now mobile but moving towards settling down in Alaska somewhere, and another friend that's off in Hawaii now, etc., etc. So a lot of our expense is figuring out a way to home the kitties while we're gone, and then get them back once we're home in a way that'll be happy and healthy for them. But either way, it was a funny interaction that just, you know, just not just the fact that we're on the PCT right now, but just that reminder of this is happening. Again, scare sighting. But it just had some funny symmetry to it. Because when we were heading back with the thru hiker that we were hosting that night a few years back, we ran across a couple guys that were heading back in towards town. I think they were going Nobo, despite running into them going south on the trail. I think they were just, I don't know, who knows. But as we came around the corner and they saw our headlamp, they just screamed out, hiker trash! Which was just kind of funny. For those of you who don't know, hiker trash is just kind of a, it's probably one of those terms that started from someone in a hiker town saying something unkind about the hobo-ish, dirty, nasty nature of a thru hiker. That's why I said probably, woman. And look, we got tracks. Yep. Almost looks like Piglet. And there's a giant slug eating poo. As I was saying, though. But as it is, hiker trash is just kind of a affectionate term for kind of what you become. You just let go of a lot of your little social things that don't really hold a whole lot of importance. And the real... Not too bad, is it? We've only just poked into spring. There's not a whole lot of growth yet, but hiking assistant. But it's definitely got some beauty to it, to say the least, so hike on. But yes, we're gonna get into an exposed area up here past a logging road because, well, in this area, everything off to the sides is logging property. So we're going to be, well, yeah, there's signs here and there anytime there's room to actually get off trail that says there's a forest department or forest and agriculture, you know, whatnot, easement by the property owners to let the PCT go through it. One of these amazing things that lets the PCT happen, even though I'd love for there to not be logging at all, or, you know, in a more controlled fashion than we have it here and there in Oregon. But it means that almost everything off to your side is private property. So you'll pass a road just, I don't know, 2 or 3 miles in or something, that there's a road and a clearing, so it's a logging road. And you're technically really not allowed to go there. So we're gonna wind back in there and through here. We'll pass that logging road. But what I was getting at before I distracted myself is that up here, that logging road I just pointed out that we'll get to in a few minutes, will let us look down through this large, it's a millipede. Sorry, like I said, squirrel, happens a lot. We're going to get to a clearing in a minute, and you'll be able to see down to the gorge pretty well in this open area. Again, sucks that it's been logged, but at least we get a little bit of a silver lining by being able to get such a good view. The power lines do head north from the dam, but we'll be away from them pretty quick-ish. We're going to get a really cool viewpoint in a minute. Last time we were through here, it was, the last bit of heat before summer was over, I think. So I think it was like late July or early August. It's within a few weeks of PCT days, which I think was in, actually I don't know, I'm going to stop speculating. And it means this wasn't the nicest exposed area for us at the time. And so we can squirrel, if it'll focus. There's Beacon Rock poking out. False summit of Hamilton, real summit of Hamilton. It's a really pretty area. But what I was saying is that during that heat, it definitely wasn't really the most pleasant to be in such an exposed area when we were so inexperienced and dealing with 19 to 20 hour days, 5 days a week for school. Say the least, having it be like 50 and windy with some rain is a bloody delight. So definitely be getting some heat out here, but we'll definitely be getting some sun hikes. Looking to do some Oregon Desert Trail later this year, so we can deal with that then. But I guess I'll bring the view back up in a minute once we actually get to the viewpoint. But despite the clear out, it is quite pretty. It's a lot rockier, less slippery though. So, here's that road I was talking about, that cloud-capped beauty. I can just barely see the waterfall again, is Table. Just so we have it all laid out in front of us, you can just see it through the trees right in the middle. And behind those power lines, Hamilton. And then we get down to Oregon and Bonneville. I'm just going to peek around the corner since the trail's right over there, just so you guys can see this amazing view. And then, well, momentarily I believe you're about to see Gillette Lake because it's right below us. We just got to wind our way down. Yeah, there it is. There's a good amount of fish in there too, but we'll be down there in a few. So I'm really looking forward to getting to know this area a lot better. That little pointy thing right there to the right of the, or in between all those power lines I suppose, is Aldrich Butte, which we haven't gone up. Unfortunately there was a trailhead and a parking lot of, I think it was Bonneville Hot Springs Spa or something to that nature. And you'd go and pay a parking fee, use their area, and, you know, move on. Go do your trail. But they were having some troubles with it. People weren't really doing what they should, I guess. And so they stopped allowing people to use their land. And now I believe it's actually something like a mental health facility. But it means that trailhead is closed. And so instead of Aldrich Butte being like a 2 or 3 mile trail or something of that nature, it's now like 7 or something like that, because you have to come up from Bonneville itself. And we just haven't made that trek yet. Next time we do actually make that trek, we're going to be using it to get to Table Mountain back there. There, we can see the waterfall a lot better. I mean, you still may not be able to because this lens is only so strong, but back there. But Table Mountain used to be like I don't know, like a 9-ish mile trail with like 3,400 feet of gain. And now it's like 12 or 13 miles and like 4,400 feet of gain. So it's just a much more significant trek than it used to be. And as I mentioned earlier, it's definitely something we're planning on. We're going to do that in the next few months, but we just we weren't ready for it last year. So this is as far as I'm going to go, but I thought I'd let you guys see the views. There's Bonneville Dam down there. I don't know how well you can see. I guess I should probably zoom in. Just bear with me while it focuses. All that. It is an impressive dam. I mean, not the dams are good for all the wildlife and whatnot, but it is quite the thing to see. So we're going to go ahead and walk down to the lake, and I'll show you guys the view on the way. When we do Table Mountain, this is probably the approach we're actually going to use. I think this will be a lot nicer than starting from Bonneville. But we'll just kind of see how that goes, see what we want to do. So I will see you guys in a moment once I get back over and we start walking down to the lake, just so you can see that. And we're just going to take a siesta, or at the very least, stretch for a few minutes, eat some snacks, and just take our time since we're not in a rush. See you in a minute. There's our Gillette Lake. For any of you PCT hopefuls who I just saw a fish jump out of the water, for any of you PCT hopefuls, it'll certainly look quite a bit different by the time you get here, since it'll be August or September for most of you, depending on your speed. and whether you're going Nobo or Sobo. But there it is. There's a few different places that you can jump out from the trail. The trail kind of rings around it going that way. But this area is, as soon as you get down there, it's just covered in blackberries, and they're juicy and sweet. Really delicious stuff. Might not be in bloom anymore by the time you all get here, but oh, it was a delightful find when we got in. So for those who are doing the PCT, there's one backcountry camping spot we saw on the trail, I don't know, maybe a mile or less back. So if you're not wanting to camp in Cascade Locks or Stevenson or use a hotel there, but just want to get out of town and keep it inexpensive, there's like room for maybe a tent in 2 spots before here. But this is just like 4 miles from Cascade Locks, so it's pretty close in. So if you just want to get out of town, get where it's a little bit quieter, depending on the pack, this might be a good place for it. We're just about to get into the first campsites. It's just this open, low glade of trees, and you can actually see there's some rock fireplaces people have made, which is, now assuming it's an appropriate time to use a stove or a fire, really nice to have. And some of these are separated enough that as long as no one's being loud, it's really a little bit of a spread out, quiet campground. Kind of sad we're not camping here, but this is way too close. We want to get a few more miles, but there's even some sit rocks throughout here. So I might poke around some of these campsites on the way out, just to, I don't know, maybe give you guys a more in-depth view. But my wife is just coming down the trail, so I think it's time to go visit the lake and have some snacks. Decent-sized lake that heads in and drains into Gillette Lake. On we go. So, totally lied. I mean, I guess it has been a minute or two, but we've gone like 30 feet. It's a few creeks we crossed, like that one I showed a few minutes ago. Yeah, it's been a little while. Well, my brain's not up for the talking smartly thing. We're headed for that bridge and over that, well, it's listed as a creek, and I'm like, that's just a small river. Makes quite the noise. Oh yeah, I'm sure during summer it's almost sedate, but it does make for some pretty authentic Pacific Northwest beauty. So I thought we might as well show you guys walking down to here. It's kind of funny that everyone has their favorite part of the PCT, obviously. A lot of people, it's the Sierras. Understandably, everything is just awe-inspiring. Everything is just has such a scale to it. And the desert really has a crazy amount of beauty of its own kind. But you do hear quite a bit of people talking about like the Sisters Wilderness, or like oh, my brain just got distracted, or like the Goat Rocks in Washington. But just everyday Oregon, Washington really is, I know I'm a little biased, but it's nothing to smirk at. You love these decent sized bridges. Yeah, not too bad. Coming through these old logging trails, which luckily PCT has easements through, so we can pass through. We have to walk along some of them to get to the trail. And we do get our lovely blaze. And just the occasional hand sign. Let's keep going instead of meandering on verbally. I've really been loving the trail the last mile. All these moss and lichen covered rocks. It's just kind of had this winter fairy tale look. And I think as it is, we only have about a mile more. We've been pretty sheltered, but the wind has been going a little bit crazy. Wind hasn't, or rain hasn't been too bad. Again, not that we mind it, but it's been kind of fun to watch the trees dance above us and have the rain be so thick we can barely see Oregon on the other side. And just staring up at Table, wishing I could be heading up there. We'll get up there in the next few months. Staring up at us, or staring down at us. I'll check in with you guys in a few minutes. Looks like we're coming to cross another creek. Had to pull that out for a second to show you guys these mossy rock, just winding fairy tale trail. But also, well, it may be hard to tell with all the rain through a camera. Yeah, if I can get it to focus. Yeah, not really. But there's Bonneville Dam right down there. Yeah, it's really hard to tell, especially the autofocus. So, yeah, just believe me, it's there. But for us, it's crazy to look down on, just since we're used to seeing up in the hills randomly from, not randomly, but from such a different direction. Sorry, it keeps auto-focusing on weird places. Spent my whole week using manual focus, but that doesn't really work easy for a video. But may not be easy to see through the camera, but this is pretty impressive. There's a few turquoise lakes down below us.
Like literally
yeah.
turquoise?
Yeah, like maybe teal, but pretty crazy. We're just under a mile from camp for the night. And it is a short trail. It's not too steep at all. Yeah, no, I'm not saying the PCT is short. Come on, woman. But, yeah. I feel like a lot of the times we get a little bit, I almost want to say spoiled, or maybe more focused on some of our summit trails, which just, oof, you know, it's life affirming to do a summit, especially one you weren't sure you could do. Like, especially with how poorly we got to hike last year with all the smoke and fire. Dog was the craziest thing we've done, and it was just a screw it. Let's go see if we can do it, you know, so what? And I was probably elated, honestly, for like 2 weeks. Just made me happier and maybe not care about stuff that happened. But it means it's really easy to get really focused on summits. So we go back and do these trails that, you know, this has a little bit of special emotional value for us, but you don't think of it as pretty as it was to an extent. And you get back and you just go, damn, this is pretty fantastic. Especially when you see stuff like this, which looks like at least used to be a talus field, and it's just been totally overgrown by moss. I think the autofocus is going all wonky. Sorry, it's being weird. But this whole section's new to us. We haven't done any of this, and it's catching our fancy, to say the least. So I just thought I'd take a few and share with you guys before we got into camp, where I'm going to pull up maps and see exactly how I want to do the Table Mountain Summit, which I have this odd feeling is going to be far sooner than later. But yeah, seeing this in a month or two when it's really the peak of spring should be pretty damn cool. But I will catch you guys in a few. I'd like to say probably in camp, but I'm pulling this thing up pretty manically on and off, so see you soon either way. So we just spooked each other. I came around the corner and actually exclaimed, and you saw this entire herd of 15 elk jump away from me, and they're maybe 75 feet away when I came around the corner. So we just scared the crap out of each other. Well, not the crap out of each other, but that was pretty cool though. I'm just glad we had that much more distance. I would have hated to spook them from 10 feet away. So it took me a little bit to get my camera out. So, fun of nature.
Good morning. So, with the rain and the wind and time setting on, we wanted to get the tent set up and get to, so no video last night, which is probably going to be pretty normal. But here we are. We did have a bit of a, there's a bit of a windstorm going on. Last night was pretty crazy because there'd be constant high wind here and there, and we're kind of sheltered, but like you can hear it ripping through the trees. But the crazy thing was that even with earplugs in, it sounded like a giant tsunami wave was coming in, and yet you were right on the beach, and so you could tell it was coming and it was going to hit the tent, and the whole thing would just kind of bow over a bit. And so it was just, I don't know, an experience to have that heavy winds where you could just hear it coming like 20 seconds away and just roll through. Pretty cool. Now it gets to be the fun of well, the rain's not too bad now, so I'm going to be quick with this so we can pack up and try to get the tent packed up. Well, it's still raining, but kind of more mildly. Then we just grab our food bag and head back. Because of the heavy rains, we'll see if there's much video for the way back today, but we'll see. Morning, everybody. So as you can tell, I'm not on the trail and I'm not in my tent. We got up that morning. This is Monday, so yesterday. And the rain was on and off, decently heavy. The winds were still going in gusts, and so we just kind of had to jump out of the tent, get stuff together as quick as we could just to make sure our tent wasn't too sopping, which, you know, only so much success. And then just hit the trail. And given that we were just headed back out, there wasn't really a whole lot new to show. I'll link up my wife's video once it gets up, which will be up a lot sooner than I get mine up. I have a huge backlog of these things, and with that update, I have a new video processing, video editing software that I'm trying out that might work. I'm just figuring out a couple of features because it's a professional suite, and that's not my field, even though I'm a little bit familiar now. That just means I'm a little bit slower in getting stuff up. I'm catching up from last year and trying to get to stuff now, so I'll probably taper those a little bit. But I'll link hers because she got some footage for the way back, but it's just, you know, it was the same stuff. I mean, it was gorgeous seeing the Oregon side of the gorge peek through these drifting clouds, but there was so much rain that I didn't want to risk my camera. It's part of what I'm gunning for in Olympus cameras. They have a couple models I really like that are pretty decently weather sealed, which means if I wanted to, could just let it get rained on and wouldn't have a problem, whereas the one I have now, if I can't manage the budget, this is what's going on trail, so I gotta be careful with it. But other than some gorgeous views on the way back, which were similar to the way out, especially with that trail, we take our time looking back and just seeing it, because it's a nice trail. For those of you who are doing the PCT, you're not going to feel disappointed when you get to Washington. It's going to be pretty similar to a lot of Oregon to start with, but it's just some gorgeous country. Just the trail itself, the actual ground is beautiful. There's mounds of talus that we're covered with. Not algae, I can't think of the word, moss, I guess, that just looked like giant piles of pollen. Very fairy tale-like, mixed with different kinds of volcanic rock, etc. It's just a gorgeous trail, plus Table and Hamilton in front of us and Oregon behind us, just clouds drifting through. It's a fantastic weekend. Like I mentioned, it was pretty short. We did 7 in, 7 out on the way in. It was about 1640 feet up, roughly, based on my tracker, and like 7 something down. So overall, with those little bits, it was like 2,400 up and down between the 2 days and 14 miles, which felt pretty good, especially given that we have our training gear for our packs, which means they're like 40 pounds with 1 liter of water and 2 days of food. And so it was a good experience, though, having to deal with the rain on both sides of it. And the tent held up well. I don't think our stakes would have held at all, but we had some good rocks, large rocks, and in camp, the ground was really rock-filled down to like 6 inches of depth, so it was hard to get those in there. And I think we're using a training tent, not our PCT tent, which is a big Agnes Copper Spur UL2, and we'll probably get some nicer stakes for that, depending on what they come with, because we just have the pen ones for our training tent, which is some REI Co-op tent, which we're really happy with. It's just heavy. But overall, it was a really good weekend. A little calf soreness, a little bit of pack soreness, just because I haven't done a whole lot with that load, but otherwise, if you guys doing the PCT, it won't be disappointing. For locals, this is the best new route to get out there and hit Table Mountain. From where we camped is the last real camping spot, which is a nice little area, just 2 camping spots, but just right next to a creek, really gorgeous. Tiny creek, stream, really. But it's the closest spot probably to Table Mountain. We were 3.3 miles, I think, from the summit and like 2,600 feet. So sometime in the next couple months, as I kept saying on video, we'll be doing that. Take the same route, camp, the next morning head up a new table and head back.
So looking forward to that. But I'm going to try to get this backlog of videos done, which by the time you see this one I'll probably have done so. So I will see you guys next time. With less inclement weather I'll actually show day 2, but as it was, you saw it on the way out, or on the way in as it is. So thanks for watching, guys and girls. I will see you next time.